We have a 2024 Tesla Model Y here. Came in for our 5-year ceramic coating. Going to use Angelwax Regenerate and a Buff and Shine edge guard pad. These pads are relatively new still. We're going to do a couple test spots and see which method is the least aggressive of the two. Going to do a crisscross pattern equal to 2 passes. Hello again, everybody. This is John with North Texas Ceramic Coatings and Detailing. This is one of the videos that we are redoing to update our name and number since we rebranded. This was done at our old location. There will be many more videos to come after this one. We're going to go ahead and get started with these couple test spots. You always want to use the least aggressive method possible. If I can talk again today, I sometimes have that problem. I just can't talk most days. This thing's been driven through a tunnel wash at least a handful of times, and it always makes me crazy when you see a newer vehicle and within 2 to 4 washes, the paint is just starting to get trashed. There are some deeper scratches in this thing that you're not going to be able to get out without wet sanding. Especially when it comes to a new vehicle, you don't want a wet sand clear coat on a new vehicle, especially if you're not putting a coating, and I try to refrain from doing it on a newer vehicle. I absolutely, positively have to, but on a Tesla, the clear coat is so thin to begin with that you don't even want to do that, even with a coating. We're going to go ahead and do this other test spot here. Have a Euro 50/50 pad again with Angelwax Regenerate. I am using a Flex XCE forced rotation cordless polisher. I'm sure some of you may be asking that. As we did before, we're going to do a crisscross pattern equal to 2 passes. And you'll see, I'll have footage of it later, of just how trash this new clear is, how subpar the quality is. It's insane for what these things cost and what they're putting out. The paintwork on these things is not great. And some of you may know this. If you're new to the channel, you may not. I am an ASC certified refinish technician from my body shop days. I started in a body shop in 1992. And I have held the ASC certification and recertification for almost 35 years. It's getting close to 35 years. I don't like to pat myself on the back too much, but I do pat myself on the back on that one because it's still impressive even if I don't actually spray anymore. And because the customer was going to allow us to have this for an extended period of time, he was going on vacation, we decided as a bonus to use Extreme Solutions LVR 403. For those of you that don't know, this is an acrylic polishing glaze that will bond to the acrylic in the clear coat. You have to let it cure for 24 to 48 hours, the longer the better, and then you can apply a ceramic coating over this. It's really not a primer, but for certain coatings we are able to do this process, and it just magnifies the gloss of these darker colors, these darker reds, darker blues, black especially, and it turns out phenomenal because you're just magnifying each thing. Or let me rephrase that, you're magnifying the clear coat with each step to another level. And for this process, we are using a Flex XFE polisher and a Buff and Shine white ultrafine polishing pad. This is basically a jeweling pad. It doesn't have much cut to it at all, and like I was saying before, you're just going to magnify the gloss with each step. Everything's like a magnifying glass. You're just going to magnify it to a more ultra fine level, and then the cherry on top is the coating itself. If you bring the gloss to its maximum potential prior to applying the coating, you're just putting gloss over gloss, and that's the whole point of all this. You want your vehicle not only to be protected, but you want it to look protected. We could pump out 1,000 vehicles, and see how many we can get done in a week. But sometimes it's not all about that. It's more about quality. than it is about quantity. And that's that's the basis for our shop, is quality over quantity. And I have to apologize to everybody out there. I jackassingly, if that's even a word, forgot to shoot the difference in how the finish looked between the Buff and Shine yellow pad and the Buff and Shine Euro 50/50 pad. The Euro 50/50 pad had a little bit of micro marring and just did not look as deep and rich as the yellow pad. I've done enough Teslas, enough painted Teslas, to know that sometimes, and this is going to sound insane, sometimes one panel will be as soft as butter and the next panel over will be hard as nails because they use different kinds of clear coat on the same vehicle. Now that we have that process down, we're going to be able to motor around the vehicle, get it done in a day. And it's technically a two-step, but we were doing it at no extra cost. We still charged a one-step. We wanted to provide the best looking finish with the best protection possible, as I stated earlier. So we're going to get around this thing and get ready to apply the coating. Our motto in our shop is do it right the first time or just don't do it at all. And there are times that we do things that we don't get paid to do. Like if there's a scratch in the middle of the door that will not come out with polishing, especially the driver's door. If you're going to see it at eye level, we'll just go ahead and take it out because it's just the right thing to do. You know, that's always been my motto when I was spraying cars, is do it right, do the steps the right way, don't cut any major corners that's going to affect the look or the durability or whatever it is. And that goes right into doing polishing and coatings and all that stuff. And speaking of painting, I'm going to show you a clip here of just how awful the finish is on this Tesla. And it's not so much about orange peel, but it's about the e-coat that is underneath this paint. And I don't know if it's coming through on the camera here, but there's almost like brush marks in this thing. This thing looks awful for what these things cost. I've seen some Teslas that don't even have the undersides of the fenders when you open the doors even sprayed with color and clear. It's gray primer. You just spent 80 grand on a Tesla for a half-ass paint job because they have real people spray these. These are not sprayed by robots. These are sprayed by real people, which, hey, that's great. But hey, spray the insides of the fenders, you idiots. Like, it's just common sense. I don't know how it gets missed. But I digress. I'm off my rant. I'm going to use a panel prep here. It's been 48 hours. You don't need to use a panel prep with that glaze, but because it sat in the shop and maybe got a smidge dusty, we just wanted to go ahead and, be careful and use the panel prep and not risk marring anything up. And for the sake of the video, we're just going to showcase coating the hood. Keep the time down on this. It's already going to be almost a 14-minute video. So we're using BC7. We're going to give it a little shake. And when we originally filmed this, BC7 was still a thing. Brian at Apex Surface Protection recently announced he sold his product line due to NDA requirements. He can't say who yet, so we're kind of curious as to where all of those products are going to end up. I'm going to prime the applicator block. The way I like to do it is make an X, then make a box, and then fill in your box doing a crisscross pattern. Not all coatings require a crisscross pattern, especially the fireball coatings. You do an X, make a box, and only do it once. And as I found out, I did not prime the applicator enough to my liking, and I just thought that there wasn't enough coating in the initial spot, so I went ahead and redid it. There's nothing wrong with second guessing yourself and saying, hey, you know what, I should just redo that initial spot because I did not like what I saw. Like I said before, folks, doing stuff right the first time. And some of you might be saying, well, if you did it right the first time, you would have had enough product on the applicator block. Yeah, you might be right, but not going back over it would be not doing it right. Like, it all comes down to temperature and humidity and the clear coat you're working with. There are a lot of variables that go into this. So it's not just that it wasn't done right on the applicator block, because, excuse my French, but shit happens. Do it right. And if there wasn't enough, there wasn't enough. So now that it's flashed, I'm going to grab 2 microfibers, a low nap for the initial wipe to remove the transfer solution, gently massage the panel, and then once we have that wiped, we're going to take a high plush, high nap microfiber for the final wipe and mop up anything that was not initially gotten with the low nap microfiber. And the Apex blue collar line is one of the easiest coatings I've ever used, along with the DIY coatings and the C6 coatings. Those are 3 of the easiest coatings I've ever used. Going to bring you in for a first person view here, and like I said, you make a box, make an X, fill it in, and our Fireball warranty coatings are not hard to use. They are just a little finicky. You have to know what you're doing to apply them. So you can see it's rainbowing here. Now that it's rainbowed, we know it's time to wipe it off. Going to take the low nap microfiber here, gently going to massage the panel and mop up the transfer solution. Once we get that done with the low nap microfiber, we're going to grab the red one, the high plush, high nap microfiber. It's about 550 GSM if I remember correctly, and mop up any remaining transfer residue. Gonna get this thing outside, and I don't know if it's coming through on the camera here, but this thing looks just absolutely stunning. It's shiny, it's glassy, it's glossy. Like, it's a giant red mirror. And as an installer, we get to see stuff in stages, and there are times like when we pull this vehicle outside or we leave the shop for the day and come back the next morning, that the results just blow even our minds. We don't get to see that drastic change that the customer sees from when they dropped it off to when they pick it up. I've seen grown men jump up and down outside like they were little kids in a candy store. No lie, folks, I've seen that firsthand numerous times. Gonna bring you in here. Look how great the pearl looks on this finish. It's shiny, it's popping. It looks absolutely unbelievable. If you have any questions about any of the services that we offer, whether it's a coating or paint correction or paintless dent repair, please reach out to us at info@northtexasceramiccoatings.com. You could call or text our office here at 945-249-5429. It's Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. We're offering 25% off all of our detailing packages. We will see everybody in the next video. Have a great weekend, y'all.